you ever felt like watching a horror movie is like living through a narcissistic relationship? Well, this is the episode for you. Hey everyone, I'm Lara Scott and this is my channel. I am a narcissist abuse specialist. So today we're going to talk about how being with a narcissist can feel like you're living in a horror movie. So I know most of you have probably watched a horror movie in your life. And in the beginning, sometimes the audience knows before the person in the film knows who is the killer. The audience knows that this person is not good. And in a narcissistic relationship, sometimes your friends and family know and they point it out before you do. Sometimes you avoid the signs. You don't want to see it. And often the narcissist will triangulate you and try to get you to believe him versus your friends and your family. So it's very similar to a horror. So the second sign is the house looks a little bit off, but they go inside anyway. So with a narcissist, maybe you kind of feel a little bit off. There's something about this person that you can't pinpoint, but there's something a little bit wrong. But you go in anyway, you check it out, you see who this person is, and you want to give them a chance. It's the same way in a horror movie when the victim sees this haunted house. Maybe it's not looking that bad from the outside. Maybe they're coming in the daytime and they're seeing the house. And it looks a little bit off, but it's not going to harm me. Like there's nothing that's going to happen. And they step inside anyway. And often that's how kind of they fall into this trap. And at first, the narcissist will show their good side. At first, they'll be able to charm you. They'll be able to show you that, all the good qualities of them. And, in a haunted house, sometimes it looks appealing on the outside. So that's how it's very similar to a horror movie. So the third sign is there are huge red flags. Like going into the woods with a stranger. So in a horror movie, sometimes the victim will be led into the woods with a stranger. And sometimes they'll go willingly. And you're like, why would you do that? Like, it doesn't make any logical sense. Like, they don't have any sense of like danger or like fight or flight that's kicking in. But maybe they do. And they're kind of more in the freeze mentality. And they just don't know what to do at that moment. And it can be very similar to a narcissistic relationship. Oftentimes, they can, lead you into either dangerous situations or situations that are, not good and not very comfortable for you. So oftentimes, it's a very similar feeling to going in the woods with a stranger in a horror movie. And the fourth thing is the victim is always surprised by the suspected killer. So in a horror movie, it's always funny because you find that they're like, I can't believe it was you the whole time. And sometimes, they are able to put on this facade. And that's how you feel in a narcissistic relationship when the whole time you were in this relationship, you thought this was somebody that you loved, somebody that could support you, somebody that cared about you, somebody that really wanted the best for you, when it actually turns out that it's all the opposite of that. So you find out in a way that the narcissist itself was, everything that's the opposite of what they were supposed to be. And you can get surprised at the end when you find out when they take their masks off and you really find out who they really are underneath. So number 5 is gaslighting takes place to convince the victim that they're crazy. So gaslighting is a term actually that comes from the movie Gaslight. And it is actually a horror movie. So the movie itself takes place before Electric Lights, but I think it was filmed in the 1950s. But the film itself really talks about how this one woman is led to believe that she is crazy because her husband keeps changing the gas lights in the house and have them flickering on and off and doing strange things. And when she confronts him about it, he denies the whole thing and makes her believe that she's going crazy. And he keeps placing different things in odd places and saying that she's forgetful and she's like losing her mind, and actually trying to convince her that she is losing her mind. And slowly throughout the movie, you see this woman's sanity start declining and eroding. And so, that's why that term comes from that movie, because it is really a horror movie. The way that narcissists gaslight you in a relationship, maybe it's not by doing extremes like that, but they can, plant subtle things in your mind that make you believe and question your own reality and your own sanity. Like if you got into a fight and you said this to me during this fight, or you said this and did this, and they're like, you're remembering that wrong. I never said XYZ, but you actually do remember that they did, but there's no way of proving it. There's no way of actually finding out if it really happened. And that way they have the upper hand and can convince you that you're the one that's making all of this up and you're the one that's sabotaging the relationship in the first place. So that's really, a lot of these things that can convince you that a narcissist is like living through a horror movie. But I wanted to give a positive note to end on for this. So really what I believe is that we can heal from narcissistic abuse. It means going into yourself and healing your own self from the damage that had happened. And, in a horror movie, like the endings are often really gory and grim. And often the victim, doesn't, get out of it, doesn't escape, but sometimes there are, horror movies where it has a better ending. The victim escapes, they get to safety. But it's not just about getting to safety, because then you have to work on the psychological effects of the narcissistic abuse. And that's where I come in. You can do things like EFT tapping that are very helpful in calming down the brain and helping the amygdala get out of the fight or flight response and to calm your body down. And I've also found other techniques, such as going into your body and really feeling what the trauma that's in your body and releasing that, because that's really what ends up healing you. So when you go through a traumatic situation, often you'll have PTSD or complex PTSD. So in narcissistic relationships, sometimes you have those compounded complex PTSD. Maybe the gaslighting eroded some of your sanity, and you're still having so much self-doubt and so much, self-worth issues. So reprogramming that stuff, getting the trauma out, learning how to heal from that, that's the way we break this cycle. And you don't need to live in a horror movie anymore. You don't need to live in the constant state of feeling on edge and feeling so scared and running from the trauma and the haunted house. You don't have to live in a haunted house anymore. You can break free from this. And so I will be starting to take clients very soon. I am studying to become a trauma-informed coach, and I am about to get certified. So once my certification takes place, I will be taking on new clients. And I really want to help you. I really want to help people that have been through narcissistic abuse, that have lived in this horror movie, and I want to give you hope. I want you to know that there is a way out, that there is a way that you can heal this. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and check out my website. I have the link in the description below, and I will talk to you guys later.